It's about three guys, elderly gentlemen who are retired or living on a small pension. And they find out that the company that has been monitoring their pension is going overseas, and they turned it over to a bank, which happens to be our own bank. And the bank decides they're going to use our pension money to pay off the debts of the company. So we go slightly ballistic and decide to rob the bank. They're both consummate professionals. They can make anything work. That's the thing that I'm most impressed about. They can take any line and make it interesting and make it work. I can't do that. I mean, I wish I had that talent, but I don't. We worked together before, so it was familiar, and I love working with people again, and I love working with her. She's like a kid. It's like she's never been on a set before. She's filled with wonder and taking chances, and she's fun, and she loves to work, and she's an absolute delight. Just playing the arc of it is fun because I have no interest in a relationship, and watching that make absolutely no difference to her it was very fun. It's funny. It's very funny, and I keep telling her, I say, I don't want a relationship. I have no interest in.
And then I say, let's have dinner. What?
Yeah, but it continues like that throughout the film.
My name in the story is Annie Santori, and I am a cashier at a big grocery store. And I am supposedly a great cook, which is funny because I don't cook and I don't care. And he and his two buddies, Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, they come into the store almost every day and just get like one potato or da-da-da. So I've known them perhaps 5 years, and I have a crush on this one. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Everybody gets along so well, and there's a lot of laughing on and off the camera.
There's a funny kind of arc to our relationship, but I don't know if my I get more compliant, let's put it that way.
And he doesn't know how he gets there.
We end up with a relationship that I didn't want, and I don't know how. I have no idea how or why, but it seems to be working somehow. Just kind of like this.
Working with incredible people, Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman and Alan Arkin have been idols of mine for years, you know, and what a privilege to be there working with them. Zach and I were in a production of Twelfth Night, Shakespeare in the Park, some many years ago. We shared the same dressing room. And I didn't realize that before I got here. I hadn't put it all together, you know. And he just is doing this is his third picture, and he's doing it like he's been doing it all his life. He has unquestioned authority. He's very at ease. He's relaxed. He's very smart, very intuitive, and I just think he's amazing. I'm very comfortable with him, and he knows what he's doing totally. You know, he's like a veteran, and so it's a real kick to see him where he's going with his talent, and I love it.
They feel like they've been friends for 40 years. They feel like these guys have hung out every afternoon in the park and played bocce and watched their programs together at night and made dinner together. And they really feel like they have that sense of history and that sense of knowing each other so well that it's effortless to be together, and they can tease each other and rib each other, you know, because they know each other's quirks and eccentricities, but at the same time, you know they would do anything. They really consider themselves family. Annie is a woman who sets her sights on Alan Arkin's character, and Alan's character, Al, said, you know, I'm done with women, I'm done with love, I've had that part of my life, I don't need it anymore, I don't need the headaches, I just want to be left alone. And she sees something special in him. He used to be a musician, and she knows that about him, and she loves that kind of artistic side, sensitive side to him. And she just relentlessly pursues him and keeps going after him. And lo and behold, the ice starts to melt, and Alan completely falls in love with her. And Anne Margaret is beautiful and warm and earthy, and if any woman was going to melt Alan Arkin's heart, it would certainly be Anne Margaret. So we were so excited to get her, and we haven't seen her on screen for a long time, so it was a really a wonderful thing for us that we were able to convince her to do it. I've known Zach since he directed Garden State, and he's such a talented director. Obviously, being an actor, he brings a whole different kind of point of view to it. But he's a really artful director on all fronts. He's great with performance. He's very, very interested in the technical aspects of filmmaking, which is something I learned about him. He loves cameras. He loves all kinds of technology. So he really designed all kinds of beautiful shots and used a lot of cutting-edge equipment in this. So he was very excited about the look of the film, as well as the performance and the storytelling. I think they're going to love that it's a great story. It's an incredible cast to watch together. It's like a delight, and it's funny, and it's real, and it's moving. There's great relationships with the friendships, family relationships. There's a great love story with Alan Arkin and Anne Margaret. It's got a very, very clever and satisfying heist that these three guys plan and execute down to the letter, and they do it completely by themselves, and it's brilliant. And when you see it unfold, it's just tremendously satisfying.
This movie is quite crazy and fun. We have three, I don't want to say old men, but I'll say not spring chickens, who just, their retirement pension got taken away. So they're struggling with money, and that would be Morgan, Michael, and Alan. And so they have this crazy idea to rob a bank. And this movie really, it's a sweet film. It's really funny, but it also has a lot of underlying sweetness to it. And you get to kind of see these guys, their adventure from kind of just being these like kind of grumpy guys when this happens to them, and then as they plan this heist and as all this is going on, they kind of find their youngness again, and they have a lot of life. I play Brooklyn, which is Michael Caine's granddaughter, Joe Harding's granddaughter, and my character and Michael have just this really fun, loving relationship. They're like best friends instead of granddaughter and grandfather, and it's just such a sweet little rapport they have going on. They're funny. They after he goes through a bank robbery first, they have like this fun little discussion about it, and they just have such a sweet relationship. I think what audiences are going to love most about this film is that how funny it is. First of all, everyone loves a good comedy. It's so funny. It's never boring. And there's so much sweetness in it, you know? I mean, between Alan Arkin, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, you have these guys who are so iconic and legendary, and they're just playing around and making a silly movie, and I mean, of course, doing amazing jobs at it, like always, but I just think it's going to be really cool to see these legends in such fun characters, and the characters surrounding as well. We have Anne Margaret, and she's amazing. I think there's such a great cast and so much great like structure behind the story that I think everything's going to fall into place perfectly and make just a hilarious, sweet movie.
I play an FBI agent, Agent Hamer, and he's investigating this, the bank robbery that these three guys commit. And it's kind of it's kind of fun working with sort of against these three guys, these sort of three kind of iconic actors. I've never worked with Michael Caine. I've never worked with Alan Arkin, and I've never worked with Morgan Freeman. I've met a couple of them over the years, and so that was one of the things that sort of attracted me to it. It's a very small, it's kind of a fun little part, but it's sort of one of those things. I've always wanted to work with Michael Caine. Always wanted to work with Alan, and so this is a good opportunity to do that.
The main thing about it is that they are three entirely different characters and have known and loved each other most of their lives. And you have these three backgrounds, vastly different backgrounds. And yet these three men are the closest three friends you've ever seen in your life. The difference and the depth of each character that he plays it's quite a surprise. And the depth of his emotion is incredible. It's wonderful. But then again, he can get laughs and do laughs. We were at dinner last night and he was doing jokes which are so funny. Most dramatic actors are comedians at heart. We're all trying to get a laugh. Alan is a fabulous actor no matter which way you put it, and I've just done scenes with him. And he comes out of left field all the time. You say, I know what he's going to do with this, and you don't know. And whatever he does that is out of left field is better than what you thought it was going to be. So that's terribly important. And he's a lovely, both of them, both Morgan and Alan are wonderful people to work with. Absolutely relaxed, friendly, kind, nice, no temperament, none of this diva stuff, So it's been such a pleasure to work with him. Zach Braff is a complete surprise because he came out of nowhere. I knew him as an actor. And then they said, Zach Braff. I said, well, he's an actor. And they said, no, he's a director now. And then I ran 2 films that he made. I was very impressed. But they were dramas. This is a comedy, but we thought, well, we might be able to handle a bit of comedy between the three of us, if a director's not up there. But he is a brilliant comedy director. How and why he is, I don't know, but he just understands comedy, and he's very good. And he's been the biggest surprise for me on the picture, because he's wonderful. That's one of my favourite scenes, because I steal a little old lady's carriage with a shopping basket on the front, and then I force Morgan to sit on the shopping basket on the front, and we try to get away from the security. But we get stopped by crashing into a bus.
I've been watching him ever since his first movie, Zulu, and he impresses. But it's me the same way he impresses everybody. He's not intense, but he has a lot of range. Michael does. I remember Alan all the way back to Hard as a Lonely Hunter. He was awesome in that. And he's entertaining in everything he does, just everything. So, it's one of the situations where you get to work with people whose work you really enjoy watching. So that's pretty much where the three of us are. I think probably the hardest part of all of that was trying to hide the pork roast and stick that in your pants. Big old pork roast. That was hard. And then this business of running around a parking lot trying to hide a dozen eggs in your clothes and a pork roast. That's funny. And then we're on this cart running down the middle of the street in Brooklyn, just causing all kinds of stirs. He's quick, and he does know what the movie's about. He knows what movie he wants to make, which is very, very good. But at the same time, he's not adamant about things unless he needs to be adamant about them. Otherwise, we can just say, well, I'm not doing that. And he said, well, that's whatever you want to do, things like that. And sometimes we just say it just to pull his leg, see how he'll react. And he always reacts quite well. You really don't know what an audience is going to like. You know what you like. I like the fact that I'm working with these three people. I really like that fact. And I think because we are enjoying what we're doing, that will carry over, and audiences do respond to that.
Going in Style is about three older guys who lose their pension when the company they worked for their entire lives, the steel company, is sold overseas to Vietnam, and the pension is dissolved. And all three of them are barely getting by financially, even with their pension. And so when the pension goes away, they're really destitute. And they're furious at the banks because the bank is sort of restructuring the company's finances. And the very bank that's doing it is their own bank. And they're left, really with no clue how they're going to survive. And they decide enough is enough. They're going to try and rob the very bank that's withholding their money. But do it in a very as moral a way as you can rob a bank, and that is to say they're only going to take their money. They're going to take what they're owed on their pension if they live to be 100, not a penny more. It's so interesting watching these scenes come to life because they all are such wonderful actors and have found such distinct, unique characteristics in their characters. And it's very sometimes it's very small things and subtle. We watch on set, we watch on smaller monitors. Sometimes you'll go watch dailies on a larger screen. You'll catch something just so subtle they were doing, which is really fun for me. They get along great. Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, this is their 6th film together, so they already have this banter. But Alan fell right into it, and they all riff and laugh together, and sometimes they'll just keep the camera rolling and they keep the scene going. They're such adept actors that they just, sometimes if I don't yell cut, they just in character keep going with the scene, which is great when we have the comedy stuff because they're so wonderful and funny. First and foremost, she's stunning. We wanted someone who was age appropriate, who would be dating Alan Arkin, who was close to his age, who was still a woman who was beautiful and charming and flirtatious, and she's all those things. She's a knockout, and she's funny, and we had a bonus that they've already worked together and were friends, and Alan cares for her quite a bit. So they instantly fell into a wonderful rapport, and their chemistry is just great. You see it on screen. They genuinely love each other, and it really comes through when they perform together. I love directing because it's just the collaboration. I love all the different art forms that are involved in filmmaking. I really enjoy. I love photography. I love actors. I love music. I love sound. I love production design. So the job is the most fun job you could describe. It's, okay, you're going to hire the best people in New York who do those things, and you're going to get to collaborate with them and hopefully inspire them to bring out the best of what they do. And I just think that's the fact that that's a job. I'm so happy that's a job because it sounds like the most fun job in the world to me. I think if you love these actors, it's going to be something really special for audiences because it's the three of them together on stage in a buddy heist movie. I mean, I love all three of these actors. I love a good heist movie, and Ted Melfi's a fantastic writer. So it's a really, really fun ride, and you're watching three of the greats work together, which is really, really fun to watch on screen.